Supreme Chancellor Obi-Wan Kenobi by Stone Freak. Chapter 62. Rig Nima returns to the temple. Rig Nima steps out of the transport, glad to be back on solid ground again. Gladder still to be back at the temple at last. The Coruscant air is as it always is, filtered and almost polluted. She turns back to her troopers and watches them carefully. They've done their work well despite the long months of harrowing field work. They stand there, their armor hastily wiped clean but still dirty, alert despite months of harrowing work. They more than deserve the rest.
Troopers, thank you for your hard work these past months. Take your rest, sleep, relax. The medical corps needs you at your best, and we all want you healthy.
She smiles and bows slightly to her boys before heading towards the temple, their cheers and goodbyes echoing behind her. She heads into the temple, soaking in the peace and tranquility suffused within its air and walls. She has missed this place as she headed the healer corps to back up the guard to ensure that as few lives as possible are lost. None, if it were close to possible. A worthy mission, but still she has missed this place. And the people in it. She heads to her rooms for a shower and a light snack. Everything else can wait until she feels slightly less wrung out. Volkara is sure to have everything well in hand, and if Rig's immediate assistance were necessary, she would have contacted her. And really, if she went to see Volkara in this state, she'd be more likely to get a lecture on the importance of self-care than anything else. Still, Rig smiles to herself. It will be good to see Volkara again. She's missed her sorely these past months. Their duties as chief medics and head healers mean they're rarely in the temple at the same time these days, so they make sure to treasure the time they are given. It is enough. The flow of the galaxy cannot be controlled or stopped. Everyone is swept away in its current, and while it may be possible to redirect its course, it will always come at a cost, and one must ask oneself, is it worth it? Is the gain worth more than the cost? If she forsakes her duty for her own selfish desires, does their fulfillment outweigh the harm caused to those she forsook, those she should have aided? She shakes her head. If she had even considered such an action, Volkara would never have forgiven her for it. An action done for someone against their wishes is no favor to them. She hums an old tune she learned when she was in the creche, as she goes to the cupboards in her small kitchen. The maintenance droids have kept them filled with non-perishables when they received news that she was returning, she can see. She makes a small meal of porridge and drinks a large glass of water, pleased with the taste of something other than rations. Once she's eaten and taken her shower, she still feels a bit too out of sorts to be dealing with the reality of the halls of healing. She needs a bit more rest. She needs to meditate. She settles down on the floor, legs crossed and her hands on her thighs, her favorite meditation pose, and breathes in deeply. She counts her breaths as she takes them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly she finds herself relaxing. The strain in her neck lessens, the ache in her sides fades, her connection to the Force sharpens. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The temple hums with life. It makes Rig's heart hurt to feel that it has lessened so much since the start of the war, so many good Jedi and clones lost, and the darkness of the Force ever deepening. She shivers as she feels the ever-encroaching darkness outside the temple. It seems to be pressing ever closer, reaching, grasping. The imbalance between light and dark frightens her at times. Of course, you cannot have one without the other, much like you cannot have day without night. But for there to be so much more dark than light, more anger than joy, more selfishness than compassion, more passion than serenity, more hate than love, all of it part of what makes a person, and yet too much of one side. There is no motion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. She recites the mantra to herself again and again to clear her mind. She continues her meditation, her breathing steady and even. When she finally opens her eyes again, she smiles to find that she's spent 2 hours in meditation. Sometimes it's simply too easy to lose track of time when you are inside yourself and your thoughts, surrounded by the Force. She smooths her hands over her face and smiles. She feels better, more centered, and ready to face her duties. And she looks forward to seeing the people connected to said duties. Senator Half is an idiot! And Palpatine is relieved that he has had no contact with the man for months. Otherwise, his suggestion that Palpatine be reinstated now, when Kenobi still lives, would likely have caused immense suspicion to fall on Palpatine. He's already been interrogated and has happily handed over his comm logs to prove that he had nothing to do with that particular bit of ham-fisted political maneuvering. As if Palpatine would ever be so sloppy. It has, however, caused Palpatine to move his timeline up. He would happily have waited a bit longer before making his move, but he cannot take any chances. He simply needs to act. Palpatine moves through his second and off-the-record apartment slowly, his side still aching despite the back to patch. He heads towards his workroom, teeth gritted and nostrils flaring. It's time to end this! Time to end Kenobi. He can see that everything is as he left it as he enters. A large and smooth stone slab on the floor on which the ritual dagger, the bowl, the specially made incense lie ready. And in the middle of it all, the focus object. Palpatine snorts. Jedi are so incredibly hard to find focus objects for. They have so very few possessions, and the ones they have, they never leave behind. If you manage to take a Jedi's lightsaber, sometimes their only possession, you hardly need a focus object. The Jedi will perish at your hands anyway. All he managed to get from Kenobi during his visit to the Chancellor's office is a small belt clip from a belt set given to him by Skywalker. Thus not standard issue and an actual object belonging to Kenobi. A single belt clip from an entire office! What is the point of life if you take no pleasure in anything? If you eschew power or ownership? Truly, what is the point of it all? Only the weak and feeble-minded could possibly be content as such. Palpatine holds the belt clip up and looks at it. This is his only chance. Kenobi is still weak from the assassination attempt and will not be able to fight an attack through the Force. At any other time, this ritual would only be useful for a Force-blind person or someone young, and Jedi Padawans are absolutely not worth the effort or the risk. Palpatine sits down and places the clip back on the stone slab. A quick snap of the fingers and the incense catches fire, the smoke curling towards the ceiling. He takes the knife and quickly makes a cut in the pad of every fingertip on his left hand, letting the blood gather in the bowl. He picks up the clip and hisses his hatred, coloring each syllable, "Obi-Wan Kenobi," before he drops it into the blood in the bowl. He picks the bowl up with his right hand and presses his still gently bleeding fingertips to his forehead, closing his eyes. He gathers power to himself, ready to activate the ritual. He will rip Kenobi's spirit from its flesh.